I don't follow Pascal's wager, and I do consider myself an atheist.
So why do you not follow it?
Well, first of all, I guess I should qualify what exactly my beliefs are. I wouldn't say atheist, I'm definitely agnostic. I think it's equally foolish to dismiss the existence of a God as it is to so quickly rush to just instantly believe it. Not to say that call you a fool, sorry, but I think it's an equal amount of illogical to believe or completely disbelieve. But for me, the thing is, I cannot personally believe that there is a God that would be willing to punish me for not believing in his existence. And I feel like it's just enough to act as a good person and receive the rewards you receive in this life for being a good person, as opposed to doing it for the purpose of rewards later in life. And I don't really believe in a God enough to believe I'll be punished or left out of a reward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. And by the way, I'm an agnostic atheist. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's an honest position. Sounds to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. It shows a certain level of braveness too, right? Because if some of the Pascal wager comes from the idea of, well, you might as well believe, because if you're wrong, you get punished. So you go to the, I don't want to be punished, I'm afraid of hell. But if you're honest, even if there is a God up there, then you've got that in your favor, right? You're demonstrating honesty and character. I would think that carries for something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil. Good evening.
Hey, in Himmel. Welcome in.
I guess to kind of follow up on what you just said, I feel like following Pascal's wager is kind of an insincere form of worship. It kind of, I don't know. And that could be a little bit of my background of growing up in a Christian household. I consider myself an atheist now, but to me, it doesn't make sense in that regard, and where it seems like you're only accepting it because of the convenience of, you know what I mean? It's I don't know how else to describe it, if that's really... I
think insincere is a really good word, and again, there's some braveness to doing that, right? Because if you, to be devil's advocate a little bit, if you go up and you haven't said the right words, right, which is I do believe supposedly the right words, then that's all it takes. But you go up there with an insincere, yes, I believe, that apparently that's better. Would that be okay? And you're saying that no, you think it would be more, it would be taken as more honest and sincere to say that no, I didn't believe, and I have reasons. I mean, you could say, here's my reasons why I didn't believe.
Yep, that's basically it. It seemed awkward to, in theory, show up at the pearly gates and be like, oh, I only really believed because I wanted to end up here.
Yeah, it seems like the ultimate self-interest, right? So neither of you guys seem to believe that believing is a choice either. Fair?
Yeah, I feel like believing is something to be worthwhile. It needs to be done genuinely. Yeah. And there's just a lot of the, I guess, a potentially offensive but accurate term, I think, the mythology around Christianity. I find myself hard to believe in things such as, like, Christ resurrecting from the dead, stuff like that. And that's the kind of thing that's like, if I can't wholly accept that happen, I don't know how I would fully subscribe to, like, all the doctrine of Christianity. And for that reason, I feel like believing needs to be something you actually believe in, not just like, oh yeah, I'll think that Jesus rose from the dead, I guess. I don't think that's genuine at all. It doesn't really get you to where religion would take you.
That's kind of one of the really most curious questions I have, is that, what would be the reaction to a very sincere and honest attestation of disbelief? What is this God really after? Is he after decent behavior? Is he after narcissistic worship? It's like, you're only up here to worship me, or that hell. The newer apologetic is that hell is actually being out of the realm of God. It's good answers, guys. Good answers. He who debunks the tinfoil, come on up, explain quantum loops.
Yeah, quantum loop is just gonna be like, you say the devil's experiment proves consciousness can affect quantum reality, and any other pseudoscientific belief regarding spiritualism and quantum mechanics.
So it's basically any sort of pseudoscience concept that someone adds the word quantum to, unrelated to actual physics.
Which, unironically, is like spiking.
Well, it's a moneymaker, isn't it? Isn't that one reason that some people do it, or it sounds like it might be believable? So.
Yeah, views, or it just sounds probable.
I wonder if it'll be a fad. not that it won't go away, but I remember how when homeopathic medicines came out, it was sort of a burst of interest, and then it's settled back. It's still fairly prevalent. I mean, it didn't go away. It settled back into sort of a lower equilibrium norm. I mean, you go into the grocery store.
Yeah, it's just a placebo, I think.
Yeah. Well,
But for these kind of things, I feel like the market isn't really growing or shrinking in any significant way. The people who buy these products. It's going to be like they're going to make the money off the same people, I feel. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's really like significant or of any concern that people believe this stuff. There's always going to be someone who wants to believe this magic pit of them.
Well, I mean, it used to be a concern for me as a pharmacist because of, basically a homeopathic dose is just too subtherapeutic to do anything for you. The homeopathic thing is diluted 100,000 to 1, so it's ridiculous. You're likely to get 2 molecules in there of whatever the thing is. But then the idea that people would treat themselves with that versus some alternative that would be more effective. But you're right. I think it's the same type of people. They get these things in their heads that eating this or that might help some elaborate ailment, something more elaborate, without anything but anecdotal evidence, which is basically just marketing, right? You come up with the anecdotes in marketing. Every time I see ads for something where the only evidence they're giving you is that's not even anecdotal. Sometimes they'll find somebody who uses the thing, and that person will get up there and say, I think it works, or some phrase like that. And I'm sensitive as a pharmacist for those types of phrasings. And the reason that we have these things is because it's not classified as a drug because no one would ever bother to spend the millions of dollars to research things that probably aren't going to work out. So they put them up there as vitamins, and they have to be very careful about what they claim, and they have to use testimonials and things like that. But that's what our current laws still allow. So anyways, let's see.
Also, just to add on, I totally agree with you. I feel like a lot of people who are into homeopathic methods or homeopathic medicines like to do this thing of they're suppressing it from the market, it's this miracle drug, and they're just hiding it from you. But I think it's such a foolish take because, first of all, if it was that cheap to manufacture a trillion diluted oil to cure cancer, you can guarantee that every company in the world would be rushing to get it in stores as soon as possible. And it's just so lazy. I feel like people are very eager to be anti-establishment and try to be anti-pharma or anti-something. And it's at the cost of your own personal health is just such a ridiculous hill to die on, I feel.
Yeah, it is. And people can buy what they want to buy.
Do you have an answer for your question?
Yeah, I do, but I didn't want to be the primary one to answer it because I pretty much always give the same answer. But I will to you now. I thought asking of you guys would just get a more diverse set of answers. I don't follow Pascal's wager because I know that belief is not a choice, having researched belief for a number of years now. So if you don't believe something, to go to the pearly gates, if you will, you would have to be, and get away with it, you would have to be pretending. You would have to be lying. So, you can pretend to believe in life, and if you do it for long enough, you'll kind of forget you're pretending. It'll just become a habit, and then we can call that belief, even though it's not justified belief. But, me personally, I can't make myself believe something. I cannot pretend into believing that I have 4 fingers instead of 5. There's my evidence, right? So to believe something that goes against what's common sense just does not work for me. Pascal's wager requires that, says you might as well believe, because if you're wrong, there's a punishment. Well, I can't just might as well. It's just not physically possible. So people are habituated to, this is one of the ideas that they have been habituated to over the years, because this used to be a legitimate apologetic way back when it was first thought of. But now that we realize that you cannot fake it till you make it, that's the only way to get there. You do have to fake it till you make it. But nobody realizes that. They just fake it and keep faking it.
You're hedging your bets, and God is all-knowing.
Right.
It's just not going to work,
Exactly. You'd have to get up in front of God or St. Peter or whoever's got the shift for the day, and say, yeah, Here, I can prove that I have pretended to believe because here's a YouTube video that I did in 2027 that says I believe in you, and I went to church and everything else. But supposedly, I think of an all-knowing God as an entity who could read my mind and know my true mind. And
It would almost work for a lot of religions, except for that first commandment in the Ten Commandments. That kind of screws it up, doesn't it?
yeah, and that makes it hard because the first commandment essentially depends on how you interpret it, but your quick interpretation is that it means that whoever wrote the Ten Commandments believes that other gods exist. So you better be following the right one also. So that's another weakness of this. It's a weak position. If that's your basis for believing, is just because you want to believe, or if that's the basis for believing because you want to escape punishment, it's not a strong. That's not a strong purpose. Now, I will admit though, if I got up there and now we know there's a deity, and he said to me, well, you better believe now or you're going to go to hell, I would pretend to believe and try to get away with it at that point.
If not at that point, wouldn't you just actually be convinced?
Fair enough. But I mean,
I don't think I would have to pretend at that
the
point.
point is, if I that's true. But the point is, if I knew I was going to be sent to hell and I had an option, I would try to do what it takes out of pure selfishness to not be sent there. But at this point, I have enough trust and confidence in my own brain to not want to play essentially what is a childish game. I think. I don't know. What do you think, Danny? Do you haven't answered this one yet?
Yeah, I do actually. It's like if you don't believe in hell, no, if you don't love Jesus or God, you're gonna go to hell, and you have to believe in Him to go to heaven. It just seems like it's blackmail basically. You have to believe in, yeah.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
And I don't think it's true. I don't think reality works like that. I think if there was a God, He wouldn't care if we believe in Him or not. He would just be grateful of His creation, and everybody would go to heaven. The fact that he needs to be worshipped. I don't believe in that kind of God. I don't think that's real.
Well, certainly we would know at that point that it was not a good God for sure. This is one reason that when I read the Quran, that I was really struck by what I interpret now as to be an apologetic, where they've got multiple times, I don't know, 3 or 4, possibly more times, where they say that unbelievers exist because God made them intentionally as unbelievers. Talk about a pointless act. So to me, that's one of the reasons I believe that, or I hypothesize that the Quran is an attempt to take the dominant religion of the day and put their culture in front of it, like Joseph Smith did, just adding one more book, one more prophet, and saying, oh, by the way, ours is the last in that case, which makes it the last one you were so nobody else can play the same trick on them by writing a later book that could possibly supersede it.